She finally kicked the bucket, huh?
Watching my husband clap and laugh at my mother-in-law's funeral, I was filled with anger.
That old woman was incredibly irritating and bothersome. It's such a relief now that she's gone. As her son, I expect to receive a sizable inheritance, but I'm curious about the exact amount in dollars. Money is more important than having a mother like her.
My husband showed no concern for his sick mother while I was caring for her. I was my mother-in-law's caregiver, and she was a very nice person. She taught me many important things. I loved her very much. That is why I could never forgive my husband. As I was shaking with a clenched fist, about to scream, my lawyer put his hand on my shoulder to calm me down. With a smile, he said to my husband,
"You have a big misunderstanding." "What?"
"My name is Abby. My husband, Gwyn, and I were childhood friends who grew up living close to each other and were well known in the local area. We went to the same school and ended up getting married without even realizing it. I never imagined that you, Abby, would marry my son. But you're such a wonderful person and you've become like a real daughter to me. I couldn't be happier." Gwyn's mother had always treated me like a real daughter. After we got married, she started coming over to our house with lavish gifts for birthdays and celebrations. She was a career woman who founded and managed a design company. Her designs were highly praised by young people and were even featured in magazines, making her quite famous. "Barbara, thank you so much, but I feel a bit embarrassed when you always give me such expensive things."
"Don't say such things. The money should be used for family, so let me spend it lavishly."
My mother-in-law said so, and she adored us. However, Gwyn, who was raised by such a person, oddly didn't get along with her. When I asked him about it earlier, Gwyn went on a rant and unloaded all the complaints he had been bottling up until then.
"The reason why I dislike my mother? She's so stingy. Even though she gives you presents and good food now, when I was a child I couldn't enjoy such luxuries. It's always no to this and no to that, despite having plenty of money. Even as a college student, I had to work part-time jobs to support myself, despite being the son of a wealthy CEO."
Gwyn, looking visibly frustrated, headed to the casino today, just like any other day. He quit his job without consulting me after we got married. He joined my mother-in-law's company but resigned on his own, claiming her education was too harsh. Initially, both my mother-in-law and I were angry, but Gwyn is not someone who learns from his mistakes. I decided to join my mother-in-law's company the following year, taking over for Gwyn. Now I am learning design knowledge directly from my mother-in-law.
"I'm sorry for my stupid son behaving like that. He's always been fickle and has a habit of running away, so it's troubling."
Although he has some good qualities in the past, he's become increasingly blatant in showing those negative aspects since we got married. I can really understand your struggles, Barbara. I was eager to help my mother-in-law in any way possible, so I learned everything I could from her. Her way of teaching was thorough yet gentle. Of course, the job was busy and not exactly easy, but it wasn't a toxic environment that would make someone want to run away. Despite this, Gwyn claimed it was too difficult and left. It was the very thing that my mother-in-law had been afraid of for so long.
"I always made sure not to spoil Gwyn too much since he was young. Just because we had money, I didn't want to make things too easy for him and turn him into someone who couldn't fend for himself. So I never let him indulge in extravagances as a child and during his student days. He only received a minimal allowance and had to work part-time. While my mother-in-law is usually a
cheerful person. Sometimes when we drink together at night, she lets out her frustrations like this. Every time I hear this, I can't help but admire her as a strong mother figure. Still, we couldn't correct his stubborn personality. Even now, he throws away his work and only causes trouble for you, Abby. It's embarrassing as a parent. The truth is, I should have disciplined him more. I'm really a terrible mother. That's not true. I'm happy that you, Barbara, became a part of our family. And thanks to you, I think I've grown a lot. Gwen is someone who we just have to leave be. But that's not your fault. If I do my best, my mother-in-law is happy. Seeing her happy was all I needed. However, it was during one of those moments that the end suddenly drew near. My mother-in-law fell ill. She had apparently been concealing her fatigue and poor health for some time, and she suddenly collapsed while we were working together. The doctor who examined her at the hospital where she was taken was deeply concerned by the seriousness of her condition.
There should have been signs of this happening beforehand. Did someone tell you not to push yourself too hard?
Upon hearing the doctor's words, Barbara, who had just woken up, laughed like a mischievous child. Sorry, Abby. I thought I could hang on a little longer, but I guess I'm not getting any younger. I was confident in my health, though. Although she spoke in a cheerful tone, her pale face was betraying the pain she was experiencing. I rushed to contact Gwen. Gwen, Barbara has collapsed. Upon hearing the news, Gwen didn't panic, but instead laughed and said,
Well, she's an old hag now, so it's no surprise she collapsed. After all the trouble she's caused me, maybe this is karma catching up to her. It's really pitiful, but it's just what she deserves.
Gwen's words left me open-mouthed. What is he even saying when his own mother was taken to the hospital in an emergency? I was so angry that I felt like throwing my smartphone away. It's not as easy as Gwen thinks it is. Barbara still looks like she's in pain, and it seems like she's been hiding her poor health for a while now. It's possible that the worst case scenario could happen.
Is the worst case scenario something like using up a ton of medical expenses to get better, only to end up burdening others with caregiving and other responsibilities? If that's the case, then don't bother with treatment and just let her live comfortably. That way, insurance money will come in, and it will be problem solved, right? And then with that money, we can buy a car or something. I've been wanting a foreign car.
Disgusted with Gwen talking happily on the other end of the phone, I hung up in the middle of our conversation. I don't even want to hear his voice anymore. Abby, what did Gwen say? I wasn't sure what to say to my mother-in-law, who was waiting for me in the hospital room. As I carefully chose my words, she gently took my hand and squeezed it. Don't push yourself too hard. I can imagine what that child said. And despite everything, I am still that child's mother. Even though she tried to smile through it, she couldn't hide the tears that welled up in her eyes. I wanted to talk more with that child, but it seems impossible now. In the end, we couldn't talk about that thing. The grip on my hand grew stronger. Abby, actually, there's something I need to tell you, even if it's just to you. Will you listen? I felt a bad premonition that signaled the real parting with my mother-in-law was approaching. I nodded deeply and said, Of course, please tell me. After all, I am already your daughter. My mother-in-law smiled happily and told me something shocking. The content was too shocking and I couldn't help but ask again, but when I questioned her, my mother-in-law never responded. After revealing everything, my mother-in-law had fallen into a peaceful slumber with a satisfied expression. Despite calling for a doctor in a hurry, she never woke up again. Holding her hand, which still retained warmth, I contacted Gwen once again. Though he was taken aback by my sobbing state, he seemed to have grasped the situation and let out a relieved sigh.
By the looks of it, I guess Mom was already beyond help. I'm relieved. We won't have to be burdened with caregiving now. We need to hurry and withdraw the savings. I'll take care of the procedures so you can handle the funeral arrangements and stuff on your own. Don't waste money, okay? Try to keep the costs down as much as possible. Got it?
I no longer have any expectations for Gwyn. Even though I heard Gwyn humming as he hung up the phone, I didn't plan on saying anything back. In the end, Gwyn didn't even show up to the funeral, while all of my mother-in-law's colleagues came to pay their final respects, despite the suddenness of her passing. Abby, I think the president had a son. Which one is he? I just wanted to introduce myself. She didn't have a son. If she did, he would be here, wouldn't he? I kept up my blank smile so as not to be further questioned. And so, Gwyn, who had the misfortune of losing his mother, didn't return home until after the funeral had ended and everyone had left.
Hey, you look tired. The funeral took longer than I thought it would. I went to the casino nearby and won some money while waiting. I bought some snacks for us.
Gwyn dumped the bag of snacks on the table and hurried over to me.
So, what happened to the insurance money?
Gwyn, I have something important to tell you. I took an envelope containing some documents from the back of the closet without even looking at him. Barbara told me about these papers before she passed away. You need to look at them too. Gwyn took the papers and his eyes widened. The documents stated that there was not a single dollar left in his mother's insurance policy. Apparently, she had set it up to donate all of her inheritance to less fortunate children. None of us, including Gwyn, had any share in her fortune. That was Barbara's intention.
What? Are you kidding me? This is ridiculous. How much more does she want to harass me, her own son?
He kicked the shopping bag at his feet and lunged at me.
There's no way something like this can happen. This must be a fake document that you made. Show me. You must have something else to show me, right?
Right. There is one more thing that I want you to take a look at. I rummaged through the drawer of the desk in my mother-in-law's room, shaking off Gwyn's hand. And there I found a letter that my mother-in-law had told me about before she passed away. Well, there's one more thing that I want you to see. Barbara was sorry for you to the end.
I don't care. Just give it to me.
Gwyn snatched the letter and roughly tore it open. The contents of the letter were about him and me. When I was told in the hospital, I was surprised too. I sat down on the spot. I'm actually related to Barbara, by blood. It was a cruel twist of fate. Originally, my father and Gwyn's mother had fallen in love. While all of this was happening, I was born. However, at that time, my stepmother had just started her own company and had no money, so she was not allowed to marry my father. After much deliberation, she entrusted me to my father's custody and decided to marry someone else. Gwyn, your father, who your mother married at the time, already had children of his own, and one of them was you. Your mother raised you as her own son, while watching me grow up as her biological daughter in the same neighborhood. When I got married to you, and Barbara called me her daughter, I couldn't even begin to express how much it meant to me. I was happy to be called a daughter by such a wonderful person like Barbara. In contrast, you, Gwyn, always said terrible things about her. I can't stay married to someone like you anymore. We're getting a divorce. As I was leaving the house, Gwyn threw the letter down and hung up on me.
Wait a minute. Divorce is ridiculous. Don't you think? I have been shopping and accumulating debts on the assumption that I would receive my mother's insurance and inheritance. As I'm not currently employed, there's no way I can pay them off. Please, don't leave me. I'll work hard and find a job. Just, please, don't leave me.
I feel nothing but disgust at Gwyn, who has begun to cry in a pathetic manner. There's no way we can stay together after you've shown me that kind of personality, right? After betraying my kindness, you should have been prepared for this, shouldn't you? Despite my attempts to shake him off, Gwyn forcefully grabbed and restrained me. Eventually, I managed to contact the police and have Gwyn taken away while he was struggling and protesting.
This is ridiculous! Why do I have to go through this kind of ordeal? I'm the victim here.
Until he was pushed into the police car, his ugly screams continued to echo throughout the neighborhood. After that, I formally divorced Gwyn through a lawyer. I moved to an apartment with fully equipped security measures because I couldn't handle being stalked. I also requested a restraining order to prevent him from coming near me, and Gwyn never appeared in front of me again. I have officially taken over my mother-in-law's company, and though there are still many things I don't know, I'm doing my best with the knowledge she imparted me. Gwyn seems to have ended up living in a shabby apartment with drafts, where he sought refuge due to the large debt he accumulated on his own and the seizure of his family home. He was always running away from difficult situations, and now he spends his days working tirelessly without a break. I hope that he can at least understand a little bit of struggles that my mother-in-law went through, but I cannot say for sure. In any case, I'm putting all my energy into creating new product designs. Whenever I get stuck and have trouble coming up with ideas, I always think of my mother-in-law's face. Then her words come back to my mind. I'm glad you, Abby, are walking the same path of design as me. The things you create are so heartwarming. I'll always be rooting for you. The words of encouragement she always gave me still support me to this day. I'm going to keep working hard, and I'm going to surprise you with designs that are even better than yours, Barbara. I was blessed with a wonderful boss, a mother-in-law, and a mother. I am very proud of this life.